Hello, guys. This is the Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast, and today we're talking the business topic of using real business lessons, but not only for business. If you're a guy who is working a 9 to 5 or whatever, is looking to invest on multiple things, and you don't know how to do it, what's the magical thing to do to grow an empire, to grow an investment account? Real estate, being a business, being whatever it is, how do you take life? What do? You focus on multiple things? How do you grow a company step by step? If you're in a scale, do you still do it step by step? Listen up, because this is going to be incredibly useful, as I'm going to use Grant Cardone's example. I'm going to use his life story, and you guys are going to learn the untold life story from Grant Cardone as well, because I'm going to use this as an example for this podcast. And this is not just about him. It's about ideas that I've learned from multiple rich business people, what they used to acquire wealth. Or maybe you're not looking into acquiring a huge wealth, but how to effectively grow. If you don't think big or small, or grow something, if you get yourself focused on multiple things, trying multiple things at once because you find yourself lost, that's the problem. And we're going to go over that. We interviewed Grant Cardone before on our previous podcast. If you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see one of our podcasts where we interviewed Grant Cardone, and he was giving tips for young entrepreneurs. But this is different. But check that one out before, also after this one is done. I interviewed Grant Cardone on the phone, so that was incredible. Stay with the introduction now, and it's going to be incredible.
Welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Business and Automotive Podcast, the only podcast that will guide you on how to start and grow six-figure companies. As our team expand from one business location to worldwide domination, you will get step-by-step insights from a millennial franchisor and franchise owner with your host, Andre Mezzalera.
All right, just to go over the example of a person whom I'm going to be using, Grant Cardone. If you guys don't know who he is, it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to use his example. He does have a public persona out there, a personal brand, but his actual real wealth, it was grown through a real business, through a real estate empire that is reaching $1 billion of assets under management. So don't mind about that. I'm just going to use how did he get there. So what's after you? If you guys know Grant Cardone, it's a guy, I already told you. Now, when he was about 25 years old, he had drug problems. He was starting off his life after 25 years old. And his story here, and we're going to get a lot of lessons from this. So pay attention if you, whomever in your life, I want to look into invest into something. I want to actually grow my business. I want to grow a portfolio of real estate. I want to start small, step by step. There are things that you're going to have to give up on. I'm going to go over the definition, what it means when we say give up on things. When you say pay the price today, like Grant says, pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. I'm going to go over what that actually means, applying to his story, because you guys may know what he's doing right now, and you guys are trying to repeat that by watching current Grant Cardone, but that doesn't work. You should watch his initial stages, how he's gotten the initial, because he talks a lot about think big, do big things. But what does that mean when you actually have a small home? He says buy multiple properties right now. But he's a millionaire, multi-millionaire. What does that mean for you who's starting now? So I'm going to choose his live example, and this is going to be crucial. So at 29 years old, Grant Cardone, he put his years of real estate studying into practice. So get this, at 25 years old, the guy was starting off his life. And from 25 years old, I'm not going to go in very detail, but you guys are going to get my point. From 25 to about 29 years old, Grant was studying, working on jobs, studying, saving money. That's it. There's no secret. You save money. You're not gonna. A lot of people say that they're gonna start small. Oh, you save $500 a year, $1,000 a year, $5,000 a year. You can already get that money and start investing small. No, you're not gonna know what you're doing if you're starting with $5,000. You don't even have the ammo necessary the ammunition necessary to start with $5,000. So that thing of start investing small, don't just save money, focus what you know, start working, work, put work into it. There's no magic, there's no night to day. If you're in a real long-term growth, listen to this, and that this is based on what he did and what many people, Warren Buffett did. Warren Buffett right now, he says about diversify your expenses, but that's after he got rich, that's after he made his wealth, then he diversified. Previously, how he started, he put money on one thing because he studied that thing for years. But first, from 25 years old to about 29, he was working a job, saving that money, saving. And it says here that he put his real estate studies into practice. So he was studying for all 5 years, from 25 to 29. That's when he put his studies. So he bought a single family property home. And we're talking about real estate here, but this can be applied in any business, any life. Just get the relation here. He bought his first property, single family home, at 29, 30 years old, because it took him some time to renovate. So think of this. For this 5 years, what did he do on the first investment? He went to the bank to buy, or he saved the money to put the money down to buy his first property home. And what happened? That was his personal take. What happened after he bought the single family home, and after a few months, the tenants left, and Cardone was left dried up on cash flow. He didn't have cash. He dried up, and he hated the fact that he had to lessen the focus on his main business in order to find new tenants. So what happened? He was out of tenant, and this is a real estate lesson too, because people think that it's so easy to get real estate. They see all these people getting rich in real estate, but they don't see the millions of people who get into real estate and fail because lack of knowledge, and they quit early because there are a lot of failures, just like any other business. It's just that real estate, it seems like it's more easier to be successful. No, it's the same thing. We run into the same problem. Grant Cardone had his first real estate single home, and then after a few months when he bought that, he lost his interest in that because he had to put the focus on finding tenants, just like a business. We have to go after employees, and he had to find tenants, and therefore he realized that he lost his focus, and he was afraid of that situation would ever occur again. So Grant Cardone, that was his particular thing. He quickly sold the property for a break-even price. So think of it this way: 5 years saving money to buy the first property, single family home. And then he sold it, let's say a year after. So 6 years, he bought it, he sold it, he broke even. So he still have the money that he saved. But now his idea, that was his personal idea, he was never going to buy a single family home, and he's going to start investing big. That's when he make big decisions. He's going to invest in residential real estate, on multi-unit, like apartment buildings, apartment complexes, like buy a lot of doors, not just one door where one thing is dependent upon that one thing. He sold his acquisition. It did not take place after 5 years in 87. So it took even another 5 years for that. So 25, he started saving until the age of 29. He bought his family, and then he sold it for even price. He kept that money that he made for those 5 years, waited another 5 years. He passed 10 years now that he didn't stop studying, making money, and then losing that money. Didn't profit from it. Learn this lesson. During this 10 years, he didn't get, the first initial second year, he didn't get $5,000 and invested here, invested there, was driving nice cars, spending money. He was patient in doing multiple things. I'm gonna do this, now I'm gonna be an influencer, now I'm gonna work on this, now I'm thinking about investing here. No, that's all bullshit. That's all what you guys, especially millennials, get yourself trapped in doing 100 million things and nothing works. So you're not focused on one thing because you think that the thing doesn't work, but it's you who doesn't work. Be patient. It took him 10 years after he continued to accumulate cash. He actually was working another 5 years to increase his property investment knowledge as well. And then that's when he bought his first multifamily property deal. So he started at the age of 25 because before his life was a mess. 10 years after, studied for another 5 years, he bought his multifamily property deal, which was a 38-unit complex in San Diego. And then he acquired the property for $1.9 million. Now, was that his money? Did he have that $1.9 million? It was like, oh, what? The guy, in 10 years, he saved $1.9 million? No. In 10 years that he was working his ass off, he said here that he put a $350,000 down payment for that 38-unit complex, for the huge investment. $350,000. And people, if you work your ass off and focus on that one goal nonstop, you can make that. People can make that in 15 years. Because he didn't make money from investment, that $350,000. That was hard ass work. So he put a $350,000 down. That was his first multi-unit property, and he got from the bank or from investors the rest, the over $1.8 million. This is the difference of thinking big and thinking small. This is still step by step. There's no magic. If he was thinking small, he could have still, there's the same process. Work patiently. Don't jump from one thing to the other when you're in business. For example, if you're investing in your own business, don't think I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that, I'm going to change trades here. And now, there's this new opportunity, I'm going to make money here. No, don't just focus on one thing. And save money. Number 2, you save that money. You save big. He saved the down payment for that house. If he didn't get, even loans, but he saved a good amount of down payment for that house. He didn't start investing $5,000. And so he invested. When he saved that money, he built credit with the bank. And now he's like, okay, I have the credit. Now I'm going to use my little cash that I have. And I'm going to use all the credit that I have to invest on something that I know. It's another important thing. He got educated on that. Took him 10 years studying nonstop in real estate. So it's not about, I'm going to have cash. I'm going to try to put all this money here, because you're going to lose that money. It's the discipline as well that counts. The time saving money. Be patient, discipline, get educated. Educate yourself. And then, because what? Because he educated himself and he got $1.8 million of loans from the banks or whatever he got it from. So that's a huge lesson to learn here. The education part is what a lot of you guys are missing. It's crucial. Because if he wasn't educating himself, and even if he had the money, and normally if you save enough to make that money, you should have studied enough. But he got that $1.8 million. He also needed to know that was a good deal. Otherwise, he would have been $1.8 million in debt. He took a good risk, but a calculated risk based on his knowledge, which is important. I had a podcast solely on wisdom, previous podcast. So that $1.8 million, bam, from loan from the $350,000. Now check this out. That's the differentiation, thinking big. He could have had the $350,000, and what a lot of people do, they think small. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna put a $40,000 investment on a small house. I'm gonna save the rest of the money. I'm gonna buy myself a car. I'm gonna think small, and bam. And I have, $350,000. I have let's say a $200,000 house paid for. I can live in here. No, so he didn't live in the house. First off, you don't live in your house to invest. He invested big, got big, think big. He also think big about getting big money from the bank and throwing it all in an investment. Think of it this way. Just over a month later, after this, he acquired another complex. So think of this. His 10 years of work, it seems like, it's from day to night, because a month later, and he bought a multi-unit property. This is why people think people make money from night to day. Because if you're seeing him, if you're his friend, I'm sure you're going to see him out of nothing. He was driving a freaking beat up car, and then suddenly he buys a 38 unit property complex, and then a month later he buys another one. But that was based on 15 years of disciplined hard work and giving up on things, giving up on comfort, giving up on having nice things, giving up on sitting down on the couch at night instead of grabbing and reading a book for the 10 years straight, giving up on trying new things because that one thing didn't work. No, he stayed focused on one thing. And then just a month later, he acquired another complex, and then it started rolling. He thought big at first. Cardone continued to purchase more complexes at first, one at a time, though the pace later picked up. I'm reading from that article, his story. And in 2012, that's when he started to invest more, and it was growing exponential, because then he has his second unit. Obviously, he had, from his second unit he bought, had a lot of credit from the bank, so he loaned a lot of money from the bank, down payment of his money and a lot of bank money. So another lesson is, you use other people's money if you're thinking big. You're not gonna save your way into wealth. You use huge companies. Even Warren Buffett, the guy's the richest man, he does have the money, but he uses other people's money. He doesn't use his own money. And then the acquisition. So this is a quick podcast. So the number one, you're gonna be patient. You're gonna focus on one thing. Number three, study a lot, get knowledge on what you're focusing. You have to know everything about the field, everything about the trade, and save money, because by the time you have money saved and you're going to invest, you're going to have to know where you're investing so you don't lose everything. Don't be ignorant. So get that wisdom. So you save, you learn. The step 3, you learn. And then number 4, you go to step by step. Meaning, okay, he purchased his first house. When I say step by step, I don't mean like small steps. That's what people confuse a lot when they hear, oh, let's go step by step. They say, oh, a little bit here, a little bit there. No, that's not thinking big. It's not the same thing. Step by step is one thing. You buy one unit here, thinking big. And there's like, okay, now I'm going to buy another unit here. Because you're going to learn on the way. Stay focused on one thing. Give up on comfort. Pay the price today. Like Grant says, quoting him, pay the price today so you can pay any price tomorrow. So give up on things. Give up on buying nice cars at the beginning. If you're investing, let's say if you're investing in a business, the same thing. It doesn't change. Real estate is a business. So the same thing applies to any business. If you're starting in real estate and you want to buy your first unit house to rent, Grant Cardone is against this, but let's say you want to start off living in the house to think as an investment, because for the first year you're going to buy that house, but you're probably going to want to buy a smaller home. Or if you're going to do multi-unit, even though, I want the house of my dreams, I want the big house with a garage, but and I want in the nice place. But in an investment perception, is that good? So give up on living in a nice place. Go to a place where it's growing, where it's going to grow 10 years from now, and then you're going to get your money back. Obviously, you're not going to stay in the same house for 10 years. You leave that house and rent it. Same with the business. The same thing applies. Give up on things. Give up on comfort. Discipline on money. The discipline is you save money first. Number 6, you don't lose that money discipline. You have to save big money and not just $2,000 and $5,000 invest on shit that you don't know. Because when you only allow time to save $5,000, you probably didn't learn enough that you shouldn't invest small. You're going to start small, but taking big steps. However, by starting small, it doesn't mean that you're going to start investing small. You're going to start small because you have to put in the work. That should be another step. One of the numbers, let's say I'm on number 7 right now. Number 7 is work hard. Focus on working, the cash flow. Make that money to save first. You're not going to You're not going to work for 1 year hard on a job, perhaps a job that you don't like. That's another thing of giving up on comfort. Working where you don't like. Pay the price today. Sacrifice today. Sacrifice your time today. Your time with friends. That's all there is to it. That's the thinking big time, and it pays off at the end of the day. So this is also, as you guys can tell, this is the Grant Cardone story, the early on. Just to recap from that real quick from his stories, I already went over all the steps, and I'm sure you guys realize from this that it doesn't take a magical opportunity show up in my face. There's all it is to it. Focus, grind, be disciplined enough, think big, save to take big actions, study, because you can get all of these 4 parts correct. You can save money. You can be disciplined enough to save money. You can drive a beat up car for years and give up on things. Work hard, save with intentions to buy an investment property, but then, or an investment business, or whatever you want to get in, whatever you want to invest in. If you're investing in a business and investing in real estate, it's the same thing. You're gonna have to put work into it. You're gonna have to hire employees in the business. You're gonna have to find tenants in a real estate business. It's the same thing. You're just growing an empire there. Personal brand, whatever it is. So we can get all those 5 parts correct. But if you don't study, if you don't take all the time to take study at the end of the day, let's say your day to day, you're working at 9 to about 10 p.m. at night, going out. If those days you don't treat reading, learning as important as it is as working, so let's say, I have to go somewhere. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to read now, so it's fine for me to go somewhere. No, like, if you were working, so does that justify you not going out? The not going out should also not be justifiable when you have to read. If you guys get what I'm saying, so that's important. You can have all the 5 things. Reading is, if not the most important of them all. And to conclude, that was Grant Cardone's story. He was a drug addict. No, the guy now owns $1 billion, as I said at the beginning, of under management properties. Under his management, it's his properties, the Cardone Capital. He's a banker now, pretty much. And by 25 years old, the guy was a drug addict. He was out of the house. He's not from a rich family. All this money was hard earned, or how people sometimes like to say from zero, but there's never from zero. You're never completely broke. So we can consider that he started his career 25 years old. From 25 to 29, working his ass off to save a little bit, to give the down payment. He sacrificed a lot to save the down payment to give on his first property, a single family home. He tried a business on the single family that he spent 5 years saving money for. That didn't work out. He had to sell it, but he didn't lose that money. So he broke even. And then 5 years later, so that's technically 10 years, as I can count here, from the moment he starts at 25, he's studying. 10 years later, after that, 5 years after the first property he sold it, he saved more money, he educated himself more, and then he was like, okay, that didn't work. So he failed. He went through a failure there, but he persisted. He didn't go to another business thing. So he used all the knowledge and was like, okay, I'm going to go to a multifamily now. Then he bought his first, thinking big this time. Now he's like, I'm going to get a $1.8 million of loan from somewhere that he got, thinking big. And then he was like, okay, now he could have gotten that money for the money he was making from that multi-unit property. It's like, I'm rich now. I'm good now. Some people would stop there. Some people would just stop there. It's a personal decision. If you're going to think bigger, it's like, okay, I'm going to take all this money that I'm earning from renting. I'm going to go broke again. I'm going to put that in, get even more deeper in debt, and buy another complex, another multi-unit. See, but it's an educated debt, because debt is not a good thing if you don't have education backed by it. Bam. He got another complex. He continued to purchase more complex. At first, he was doing one complex at a time. And then it picked up later. That's what the article says. And then it picked up later. And then that's when he started his largest private party acquisition of multifamily real estate unit. And then it was growing exponential. So that's when things reach a level that it's growing, then it starts to growing exponentially. The first 10, 15 years, it takes time to grow. It does take time. But if you persist on it, then the graph is going to grow exponentially. And that is it. Now he's got his empire, as you guys may know, Grant Cardone. Check out our last interview that I did with him. He's on YouTube everywhere. But don't take this just as a tip for real estate investing. This is a tip for anything that you're doing. Anything. And it's your decision if you want to think big or small. It's your decision. I don't see why think small. It's the same amount of energy it takes to think big than to think small. He could have gotten from the bank a $300,000 loan from the bank instead of the $1.9 million. It would have been the same thing. So why not think big? Get the $1.9 million from the bank. You know, the difference is that you have to sacrifice more, in the early stages, like he did at the age of 35. Now at over 60-year-old now, he has a private jet. I mean, he paid a price yesterday. He thought big, thinking big, and paid the price today. So now he can pay any price. That's what it's meant. All right, guys. This is the Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast. We do automotive detailing and business. We're going to continue every Wednesday with new topics on business. Wings Mobile Detailing. This is also a franchise. So if you guys are looking into starting your own business, pick your style. I'm talking about real estate here. Go crazy on that. Or I'm talking about business here. If you like the style of business for as Wings Mobile Detailing is, it's starting off like a low overhead business, and I have a whole presentation on the business itself, the type of franchise you should pick or business to start. So it's a low overhead, it grows exponentially, it's mobile, convenient. People are moving into the place where we need things fast, quick, and convenient to our head. And if you're not grow, if you have a vision, okay, I want to manage multiple vans with multiple employees, a team, a fleet of vehicle. Starting from your home with low overhead, low investment, you're gonna learn on the way because we have training programs from actually Cardone University. And so that's your style. Go to franchise.wingsmobiledetailing.com. Thank you so much for listening. Every Wednesday you're gonna expect more business and auto detailing podcast.